Hi friends, today I'm coming to you from Mesa, Arizona. I have driven up here to join a green card clinic which has been hosted by Matthew House. Matthew House is a Christian-based aid organization who has decided to take it upon themselves to volunteer and help people file for asylum. Now, the asylum process is quite lengthy. The paperwork is tedious. It's 20 pages long per person in each family, and it's all in English. So I was blessed to get the opportunity to help and come up here and fill out some of those applications. The services for the clients are all completely free. So Matthew House is really a blessing in providing this service, which otherwise would cost money, take more time. It's just a really complicated system to navigate. Even for a native English speaker, I myself am still learning the process. I'm by no means an expert, but I can't imagine sitting down to 20 pages in a foreign language, having to fill that out, and my ability to stay safe in a country would depend on my ability. I can't imagine it. So like I said, I'm very blessed to be able to get this opportunity to volunteer with Matthew House. And I don't know what family we'll be working with today, but so far I've been able to work with some of our Afghan allies. And I also got to work with a family from the Central African Republic, and they were lovely people. Everybody's just so gracious and kind, and everybody that volunteers with Matthew House also is just, they're a blessing to be around. They're all just happy people, happy to be there and happy to be able to help. So hopefully we'll be able to get a few interviews from the Matthew House organizers and maybe some of the asylum seekers. Some people aren't comfortable being on camera for safety reasons, which is obviously understandable. But if they are comfortable and they agree, we will ask them a few questions in a little bit. So stay tuned.
First of all, thank you for meeting with me and doing this interview. If you could tell us a little bit about what Matthew House is and what Matthew House does.
Matthew House is a 501c3 registered nonprofit. We launched in July of 2021. It's co-founded by myself, Leisa, McDonald, with Amy Ulrichsen. The goal was to really help bridge divides in Phoenix. What we were seeing was all of these gaps that the refugee community was facing. A lot of them are placed up the I-17 corridor. For those that aren't in Phoenix, it's the most impoverished part of our community, and a lot of people just won't go there and access families and provide support for families there. So a lot of people were left to their own devices. So we wanted to help bridge that, provide tools and resources for families in what we call the East Valley, which is a group of suburbs that sit outside the central Phoenix area. And so we launched the nonprofit with that in mind right before the Afghan crisis. So our goal was to serve 5 families by providing some housing subsidies so they had better access to our community. And then we provide welcome teams, which is kind of wraparound service support for families once they're here. We have English classes, tutoring programs for kids. We provide employment services, and we're just starting some case management activity.
I didn't know that you were founded like right before the Afghan evacuation.
Yes. I tell people all the time jokingly, had I known that, we probably wouldn't have launched. But no,
it was perfect.
Joking.
How did you get involved in the Afghan evacuation effort?
So interestingly, I'd worked with the refugee community for quite some time through my prior position at Central Christian. At the time that the Afghan crisis was unfolding, there were a group of pilots that were going to be directly flown into Phoenix, and my contact at International Rescue Committee said, hey, if we may need your help, I'll keep you posted. We worked with quite a few different churches and organizations and partnered with a lot of different community groups to provide support at the hotel. So we were just one of several organizations, but we brought volunteers in to bring, we served, we didn't make the food, but we served breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. We provided English classes for adult women, and we provided English classes and tutoring programs for K through 12 students. We got some high schoolers enrolled in high school nearby because we saw that this was dragging out and they were at the hotel a little longer than expected. And then we just worked with the International Rescue Committee, IRC, on getting housing set up for those families once they left.
You mentioned helping 5 families initially. How many pilots and families actually ended up at the hotel?
We ended up helping like 85 families at the hotel, plus there were a group of families at a secondary hotel. It ended up being about 500 to 800 people in total.
What have you learned by working with the Afghan community, and what can other people learn from our new neighbors from Afghanistan?
You know, the people of Afghanistan are beautiful people. The individuals I've met have changed my life. They've been, you know, I consider many of them friends. I consider some of them even family, and I'm honored when they feel likewise. I think the thing that stands out to me for Afghanistan, they evacuated in the midst of everything crumbling and changing, right? So they were pulled out of their country in the midst of trauma, and I think we don't give enough kind of focus to what trauma does and how people respond and how kids respond and families respond. When we think about choosing to go and travel to another country and we experience culture shock and we experience change, you have these moments of, this is really hard and I don't know why people would ever choose to get up and leave and do this. And that's, I think, part of the point is a lot of people don't choose to get up and leave. The pilots that I've met in particular, if they could be back in a cockpit, you know, flying for the Afghan military, they would love to. They just won't do it under Taliban rule.
Right.
And so to have left their entire homeland and their country to come here, they respect the U.S. military. They are grateful for you know, the people who trained them and equipped them and supported them and who have continued to support them coming stateside. But it's a hard transition, and I think we as Americans often have to step back and look at the resiliency and the drive, you know, the obstacles that people face when they arrive. It wasn't an easy, the government didn't just provide a bunch of handouts, right? It's not, and people left everything behind. So, you know, many people, I have one of my good friends that has shared before for our organization about his experience. He left with his wallet, his ID and his phone, and that's all he had on him when he physically escaped the country. He didn't even get to meet his first child for 3 months after arriving. And I think the impact points of all of those challenges make people super resilient and tough in life, right? Like they can push through a lot, but I hope for each of us it just creates a greater sense of just compassion and just understanding what people have left behind and what they've lost and how hard this transition into life in the United States really is.
For sure.
Sorry for the long answer to that. But
No, that's perfect. It's true. Thank you. So finally, is there anything else that you would want people to know about Matthew House and the work that you're doing?
We're obviously a very new organization. So we launched, as I said, in July of 2021. So we're growing, and we're currently serving, you know, over 50 families, trying to do our very best to provide a variety of services. I know you've had the opportunity to be involved in helping them complete green card applications. We're in a small little space today. We outgrew it very, very fast. And so trying to figure out what's next for our organization is our strategic challenge for the next few years. We outgrew our plan, our strategic path and plan very, very quickly. But, you know, ultimately our 4 values that we stand upon in our effort to kind of bridge divides and create opportunities for our friends when they come is really focusing on relationships. So we prioritize that over a lot of other things. So that's probably what makes us uniquely different than many others, is we say relationships are number 1 focus. No strings attached, right? Just relationship. People have left community, and so we want to provide relationships. We want to provide community. Those are 2 of our values. And we're really focused on education, because we recognize that to be successful and to truly be self-sufficient in the United States, it takes the English skills to be able to navigate culture. It takes cultural knowledge. It takes the ability to work in our school systems and understand in our medical systems. And so we want to be able to help educate people so that they can be successful and kind of pursue their path forward here in a way that means something to them, right? Not our definition of what success looks like, but
Right.
their definition. And the last one is just we do it with compassion. We care. And again, if you're around Matthew House for long, what you'll see very, very quickly is we are a lot about relationships. There's hugs that go around. People get called mom and dad and grandma and grandpa and aunts and uncles, and we know people by name. We know their kids by name, and that's because it is relationships. And so whether it's volunteers that are doing English classes, whether it's a welcome team that's sitting down at a meal with a family, or whether it's Amy and I as co-founders, we try to maintain those relationships with the families that we're serving.
That's all completely true. I haven't been volunteering for that long with Matthew House, but I can say I already feel definitely like close relationships. I can feel like the family atmosphere, and it's really amazing. So again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And I'll put the link below if you want to donate or just find out more information about Matthew House. I appreciate you watching, and have a good day.